JP Morgan is out here publicly bashing Bitcoin. He's calling on governments to eradicate our favorite cryptocurrency off the face of the earth. But it looks like we might have a classic case. Do as I say, not as I do. We're going to expose what JP Morgan's doing in the background while they publicly call for the end of Bitcoin.
Capital flight is coming to the United States. The dollar is going to zero.
And that's what makes Bitcoin so special. You have to have gone through a couple cycles to understand.
Once the price is able to clear this level, the breakout is on its way.
This is your indication to jump in now.
Thank you for joining, everybody. It's me and Josh today, and I won't be here tomorrow. I'm under the knife. I'm under the scalpel tomorrow, so wish me luck. But
yeah,
what
DZ
a day.
hit like 26 years old, lost his eyesight. It's just receding at this point. But that's gonna be interesting. DZ's gonna have an eye patch, guys.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm still going to keep an eye out on these big banks, on JP Morgan,
Yes.
on Jamie Dimon. We're going to talk about their anti-crypto tirade is sparking a huge backlash in the crypto industry. I almost want to say, should we just lead with the clip and then we can, maybe do a little bit of a breakdown? So
yes, let's do it.
This is him. I'm going to throw on the earphones here. This is him talking to Elizabeth Warren, and I'm going to go ahead and set the table, as they will. Shout out to Wolf of Wall Street, Scott Melker. We were talking about this in the morning stream on his channel. I'm going to set the table for you. You all seen the Jack Nicholson meme, correct? It's from the Leo DiCaprio movie, the Irish gangsters, where he's just nodding. The camera zooms in slowly, and he's just like, yeah. When he is publicly bashing Bitcoin, you hear her say, yeah. You hear Elizabeth Warren just becoming so gleeful. Almost, it seems a little bit staged.
It's like they're evil. I feel like that's the tone we're getting here. But yeah, let's play this clip so you guys know what we're talking about, and then we'll go on an absolute rant on this.
All right, here's Elizabeth Warren, Jamie Dimon, CEO of JP Morgan.
She looks like Emperor Palpatine.
Deeply opposed to crypto, Bitcoin, etc. You pointed out the only true use case for it is criminals, drug traffickers, anti-money laundering, tax avoidance, and that is a use case because it is somewhat anonymous, not fully, and because you can move money instantaneously, and because it doesn't go through, as you mentioned, all these systems have been built up over many years, know your customers, sanctions, OFAC, they can get bypass all of that. If I was the government, I'd close it down.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Jamie Dimon, whatever you say.
If I was the government, I would shut it down.
Why'd she get so excited there? It was like she was like electrocuting, like Anakin Skywalker. It's like, oh,
yeah. She was nodding like the Emperor Palpatine. All right, Digital Citizen, thank you for the best wishes. Well, this is, like I said in the beginning, this is a classic do what they say, or look at what they're saying, and also look at what they're doing, because they want you to, hey, man, I'm saying it's bad, so go ahead, sell me all your cheap Bitcoin. All right, we got one more clip here, and then we're going to break it down with some articles as well. This is about 40 seconds. Here, he's breaking down what the CEO of JP Morgan is doing.
On September 12th, Jamie Dimon says Bitcoin is a fraud. He says he'll fire any one of his traders buying Bitcoin.
He will fire anybody who buys Bitcoin, okay? Can it get more strongly opposed than that? If you even buy it, you're fired. You're out of the building. Oh, whoa. Well, we better not mess with that weird blockchain technology.
Bitcoin drops 24%. When Jamie Dimon speaks, people listen. So that weekend, we found out that the largest buyer of a Bitcoin fund that's in Europe that buys physical Bitcoin, right? The largest buyer was Morgan Stanley and JP Morgan. And that's not illegal.
That's not illegal. Publicly bashing it, the price falls. Meanwhile, they go overseas and they're secretly buying up essentially Bitcoin. They're giving their funds to somebody who then buys actual Bitcoin.
He says it's a fraud.
It's honestly just it's ridiculous. I mean, you can finish the clip here because it's we're going to go off.
6 more seconds.
By anyone that buys it. Yes.
And at the same time, his company is buying it.
His company is buying it.
It's just, so unethical.
So unethical. It's going to say irresponsible. I like when you kind of touch it there with evil. Yeah. But what would, are they evil? Well, let's look at the facts of JP Morgan here. This is their violation tracker current summary here. JP Morgan, since 2000, $40 billion in fines. 272 infractions. Yeah, I would say that's pretty unethical.
272. This is one a week for like the last like 20 years at this point in terms of violations. We're talking about the most corrupted organization and leader of financial cartel. Well, one of the leaders, I'd probably say, come out and say crypto. I don't know where the audacity comes from, where he's like, hey, yeah, this is for criminals. This is to avoid sanctions. This is avoid tax evasion. And they're over here manipulating markets. They're allowing for, if you guys saw we have an article coming up with Jeffrey Epstein as well. They're banking for these people. It's like, these are the people that are like trying to represent us in this court hearing. I don't understand this. And then you have Elizabeth Warren just getting all excited on her seat. Like, oh my goodness, you're so right. We should just abolish this completely from the United States because they want to be pro US dollar. But they really all they want to do is just hurt us, hurt the retail, hurt the 99%. They don't care about us whatsoever because this only threatens their pockets. It threatens their lobbyists and it threatens their partners.
Yeah, I said she was Jack Nicholson from the meme. No, she was actually the other meme where the little 5-year-old boy has the basketball bounce off his head. He's like, yeah! That was her after Jamie Dimon. Hey, governments need to shut down Bitcoin. Yeah! That's not an appropriate response from a sitting member of Congress here.
At all.
All right. Well, yeah, sparking a little bit of a backlash in the crypto industry here. We're going to scroll here. Here's the holding his favorite currency. So telling you, yeah, I will fire you if you buy it. Meanwhile, he's market buying tens of millions of dollars. Do crypto, Bitcoin, other assets represent an upgrade to the present financial system, or are they just tools for criminals to evade the law? Well, it definitely depends on who you ask. Well, according to Diamond's statement, several members were quick to point out that Bitcoin's decentralized nature would make any government decision to shut it down an uphill task. But if he was in charge, he would.
It's just, even right there, it's just a lie, because this is someone that's offering their institutional clients and their like registered, accredited investors this private opportunity to purchase Bitcoin behind the scenes and this crypto behind the scenes. But then, like, the same people that are backing JP Morgan, your largest asset managers like Vanguard, BlackRock, all these massive institutions, they're the ones that are purchasing up and, buying up all these miners as well. And they're also investing themselves into multiple of these different ecosystems and these different companies. They're exposed heavily to crypto. So while they're saying, no, you don't go buy it easy, you don't go buy chat, this is bad, we need to outlaw this, we need to ban it, they're letting up all of their private friends and their private institutions purchase this into products that we cannot be offered because we're just simply retailers and the 99%. They're just lying through their teeth.
And at the same time, they're publicly bashing Bitcoin. They're heavily invested in blockchain technology. They're heavily invested in the entire space. Here's from their Onyx page, Onyx by JP Morgan, transforming the way money, information, assets move around the world. Formed in 2020, the first bank-led blockchain platform. Link by JP Morgan, everybody.
We should ban crypto as a whole in entirety, but we should be able to launch our own and handle all the transactions for you. That is what this headline should say.
Oh, well, guess what? They did say that, but it's going to be JPM coin to handle all of the transaction volume. They can handle $10 billion in daily transactions next year, everybody. So this is from, about a week ago, maybe a couple weeks ago. So meanwhile, I have a theory here. Do you think that they're secretly getting more exposure if his comments did lead to a 20% pullback? Do you think they're going to buy more?
Would they do that? Can we pull up this screen again? Would they do that? How many violations have they had? Oh, only 272 and 40 billion. Would they lie to the public for their own financial gain and benefit? I cannot tell you. There's no proof that they've done this 272 times, guys. We hear it time and time again. Whether it was Larry Fink with BlackRock saying it was a money laundering index, whether it's Jamie Dimon with JP Morgan, they continue to accumulate and give this to their private friends and the lobbyists to just completely segregate us out of the opportunity that crypto is offering. This is disrupting fractional banking. This is, I like to say it's a solution to fractional banking, but because of that, these institutions know that and they want to consume that. And that's why, guys, that's why on the screen, right, we have JP Morgan saying JPM coin could handle $10 billion in daily transactions next year. Global investment bank JP Morgan, guys, again, the CEO is the one saying that we need to ban it, and he's coming out and expects that digital currency, JPM coin, to start taking off. That's weird. Why would it take off if we're going to ban it? The bank says JPM coin could handle $10 billion in daily transactions in the next year or two, according to its global head of financial institutional payments. He emphasized that JPM coin transactions should go fast, at least 5 to 10 fold. And the key word here, guys, is head of financial institution payments, right? Not us. They're doing this on the back end with their private parties, their friends at their little golf course with, as they eat caviar and spend just, tens of thousands of dollars on their meal, laughing this off. They're currently using blockchain technology to advance their own software.
And there's a huge outlier that's, I know you're saying 90% you don't think it'll get approved. I'm still leaning with the ETF experts there. They're saying 90% approval for a Bitcoin ETF January 10th. 90% approval. Well, what is our best corollary to a Bitcoin ETF? I would say it's the gold ETF. I was sharing this on Scott's stream this morning here. I pulled up the gold ETF. If you don't know, the gold ETF, I moved the wrong thing there. The gold ETF launched November 18th, 2004. Was that a buy the rumor, sell the news event? Well, it ended up being 2 weeks later, sell the news. So we got 2 weeks of positive action.
Yeah.
But in the run up, this is 2 weeks before the ETF. This is 1 month before the ETF. We got slight pullbacks, everybody. Now, this is gold. It's not going to be as volatile as Bitcoin. I'm coming in with Bitcoin is probably 3x volatility. So right here, you see a 3% pullback. That would be a 15% pullback. We see another one. We're going to see about a 20% pullback. But what happened after the ETF was approved, everybody? ETF approved, goes up for 2 weeks, and then it catches a bottom almost exactly 2 months later. From the November 18th. So about 40 days after the top here, about a 10% drop. That would equal a 30% drop for Bitcoin if it sticks with about a 3x there. But then after that, 8-year bull run for gold. So this is, this is November 4th. And then look at this, 05, 06, 07, oh wait, we're not done, 07, 08, 09, oh wait, we're not done. Oh my God, the thing just keeps going up and up and up and up.
Look,
and then we had an 8-year bull run afterwards.
What I can say is that I believe something massive is about to happen to these markets, whether that is the approval. I am under, for a chat, Scotty, Cade, Smoking, everybody, as you guys get to know me, the one thing I just do not trust is this financial cartel. I do not trust our government. These people that are in positions of power that claim to be the world's renowned economists saying this is how the economy should work and this is how it should operate, have just enlarged the wealth gap between wages and prosperity against Americans for the last 50 plus freaking years. So they've been wrong decade after decade. And if I look through history and I see what JP Morgan has done, whether it is offer banking services to corrupt islanders who are doing things for financial elitists like we have on the screen here, these are the people that they're in bed with, right? There's no reason for me. So this is why I'm so skeptical of the announcement. I would love for the ETF to pass, but they manipulated the precious gold market for over a decade and still did it for decades after it was released before finally facing any backlash just last year. And it was a slap on the wrist. So to see the 90% that we have this opportunity to get in before it's announced on January 10th, yes, there's really good. I'm not fading Eric Balchunas people. They're very, very smart people. They're very, very, very talented. But it just there's this blood in me that is just been let down time and time again. I mean, I don't know if I'm one of the only people that feels this way, but I feel like I haven't seen a president that's represented the people since I've been born. It's always the military industrial complex. It's always these financial cartels. It's always these lobbyists. And so for that reason, look, I want that ETF to come. I just don't expect it till later next year. But either way, back to DZ's point of the gold chart here, even when it does launch, if we do see 2 weeks of upside, maybe a few weeks of upside, history does show that there's going to be this massive sell-off because all of the institutions, while we were being told that this was a scam, that this isn't going to go anywhere, that this is bad for the world, the government should ban it, JP Morgan and these elitists have been accumulating the entire time, and they're going to take profits and they're going to dump on us because they were telling all of their private institutions, all of their friends, all of their little elitist corrupt groups, all these inside traders, the entire time they were telling us not to buy, they were purchasing. And so for that reason, I think they're going to continue to do so for the next few months.
Jess Jim asked, was that a super cycle on gold? Yeah, if you look here, I zoomed out and put it on the weekly chart. This is right around November 04. You can see the ETF is announced, and then it was 8 years. This is an 8-year run up right there. And then it pulled back, and then now you see gold, back on the run up and now setting in a new all-time highs.
I think we'll see a super cycle too for Bitcoin. I don't know if that's this cycle, but I also believe once that adoption's here, like again, that was an 8-year run for Bitcoin or for gold. You'll probably see something similar with that ETF announcement because at that point, it's now got this financial product. Everybody does come in. Whether that's, again, this in the next few months or 4 years from now, there'll be a point where mass adoption does come. And I do see that kind of continuing on for Bitcoin itself.
All right, well, yeah, it'll be interesting because, I still think we'll get a 12-month pullback period just because the 4-year cycle and the supply and demand is so strong. But we saw a pretty big diminishment in what the drop was. Well, not really, but 90%, 85%, 70-ish%. And then, I think it might see a pretty large reduction, maybe only a 50% bear market pullback.
And for chat and for people that are brand new to the crypto sector, that's going to be because one day Bitcoin, I do believe, and I believe you do as well, will have a multi-trillion-dollar market cap versus a 700 billion. So it's going to be way less volatile. And that's when your grandma and your friends and family are going to finally want to get in because they feel like it's safe. Speaking
of friends, Bob from accounting, thank you very much. This is a very friendly question here. Do you offer laser eye or corrective eye? I'm getting a cataract removed. Had some eye trauma a couple years ago, and it is I drove last night. It was maybe the hardest drive I've ever had. It was very, very difficult. Wow. Headlights in my way is terrible, but.
Is it like when it hits your eye, does it like expand light, or how does that work?
It's real bad. It's real bad. But you know what? Let's expand our knowledge of the charts.
Yes.
And let's throw it to Kelly, everybody. We got BitLab Academy in the basement right now. All he has is ramen and peanut butter. He's stacking up this cheap Bitcoin, and he's just watching charts. Can't see it on the other side of the camera. There are 47 screens, all with TradingView open. But Kelly, what have you found for us today?
Well, I got something to talk about.
Let's give them something to talk about.
That I should talk about. And that is the fact all the stuff that you just mentioned regarding JP Morgan.
Lost you when you did that, right?
He was providing too much alpha, and the Fed's
when you pulled that.
Unfortunately, we have lost Kelly, guys. He's no longer with us.
The second you pulled the earbud out, that's what did it.
Rest in peace in the chat for Kelly. He'll be loved.
He'll be missed.
You don't hear
nothing. Man, he had the alpha. He
had the alpha, guys.
I'm hearing him come through.
Oh, wait. Oh, so does chat hear him? I mean, just you don't hear him?
Yeah, maybe we need to
chat,
relog
hit
in.
1 if you hear Kelly. Type 2 if you don't hear it.
And restart it.
Let us know.
Check.
Type 1 if you hear him. Type 2 if you don't.
Check.
Mm-hmm.
We can hear him? Okay, we are good to go.
You can hear me?
I can hear him.
Okay, go for it, Kelly. Take over.
Well, what I wanted to talk about is the trillions of dollars that you guys, hadn't quite mentioned yet, and that is the $2 trillion in illicit activities from J.P. Morgan Chase and other traditional banking systems right here. And they're talking about the illicit activities on Bitcoin. Meanwhile, from 1999 to 2017, over $2 trillion in transactions were flagged by financial institutions, internal compliance officers as possible money laundering and other criminal activity. That's over 500 billion. Yes, that's 100 billion marks. $500 billion just at JP Morgan themselves. So
guys,
what is this nonsense that they're talking? What's that?
Oh, go ahead.
Let us know.
Keep going.
So I just wanted to point that out. Bitcoin is not only a better asset, the fact that there may be some illicit activity, I'd rather it be on Bitcoin than US dollars because at least you can track it. Now, regarding the Bitcoin spot ETF, I mean, look at this massive pump that we had there, but this can be an analog, but we have to also look at Bitcoin in US dollars. This is Bitcoin basically weighed against the US dollar. This is Bitcoin weighed against gold. This is showing you that even against gold, the quote unquote best asset in history, we can see that Bitcoin is performing incredibly well over time. It's performing better than gold. It's performing better than quote unquote the best store of value. And we just need to be aware of that. Now, coming over here to the charts, looking here on Blofin, if you guys have not signed up for Blofin yet, sign up for the link down below. Great exchange that we're using here at Discover Crypto and BitLab Academy. But we're seeing some really great, I mean, look at this bull flag that basically broke out directly to the target of where it should be. Now, this is something I want everybody to pay attention to. And TJ actually mentioned this morning. There's periods of time in Bitcoin or any asset, especially with crypto, though, there we have multi-day. It feels like you can long anything and you make a lot of money. And then you get in these hard zones, these more difficult chop areas. And we're kind of in that area right now. And this breakdown from this bull flag does not mean that this is necessarily invalidated yet. This very well may just be a sweep the lows sort of circumstance where it's trapping people to the downside only to break up. But the problem with this is you can't know that that is the fact until it happens. As it stands right now, it's only just testing resistance, 2 different levels of resistance right here, which a lot of people would say, professional traders, this is how you look for a confirmed basically breakdown. We break down, test the resistance, and then continue to the downside. So let's pay attention to this. Let's see what happens. Don't trade away your capital right now just because you see a little bit of, chop in the market. You don't want to be trading on a 15-minute chart and trade away the capital that you basically got into at $15,000, and then you lose 40% up here because you're trading in chop. Wait till you get into an area that you have a strategy that you've mastered and that you can dominate. And if you want to know more about any of this stuff, we're going to be breaking down the charts. I did an entire stream at 9:45 this morning, and there was apparently an issue with OBS. It did not broadcast, so I'm going to restream everything at 11:45 a.m. Eastern time over on BitLab Academy's YouTube page, which is, it's right here. BitlabAcademy.com is the website, but youtube.com/@BitLab Academy. I'll be going live at 11:45, breaking it all down. Make sure you sign up for Blofin, trade with us, and that's all I got.
All right. Kelly, man, sorry about the audio issues, but always a great time. Make sure you check out BitLab Academy. Everybody, we're going to have a link in the description. But let's talk a little bit more about Bitcoin and the open interest from the big money, everybody. We got Bitcoin futures open interest soars to 5.2 billion. Now we're getting pretty high, folks. Now this is near an all-time high. Last time we had open interest this high was the month before Bitcoin's all-time high. That was October 2021. Between the 1st and the 21st, they saw that go from 1.46 to 5.45. Right now, we're at 5.2. So we're knocking on the door of an all-time high for open interest in Bitcoin. Just more and more institutional money flowing in a bullish narrative, flowing into the bullish case here.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing it, and this actually shifts over into the regional price, which that trend sees Asia and Europe in a bullish sprint. So seeing this more open interest and this more volume, more traders to come in here with even more leverage does tend to show that we have a very bullish lead in the markets right now. But right now, guys, the United States is leading that charge. So shout out to the U.S. For being the exit liquidity for all the institutions right now. Quick take here, though. The current trading session reveals an enthralling episode in the Bitcoin saga with substantial price fluctuations in all three major regions. So that's what we're looking at down here. The metrics spotlighted here marked a 30-day change during standard working hours between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. for Asia, Europe, and the United States. This assessment, this is why we need to know this, guys, relies on a dual-step process. The allocation of price alterations to specific regions, followed by calculating a cumulative sum of blah, 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 ultimately means bullish, guys. We see more volume coming back in from all markets. It's starting to be exposed more each and every single day. And it's really interesting because, I mean, the United States obviously is leading this race due to the ETF speculation. Asia is going to be falling right behind that as well because Hong Kong is looking to issue their own ETF as well and drive innovation back to China itself because, just like Kim Jong-un, did you see him crying?
Yeah,
I want to
have more babies.
Just
more
like
babies.
them, they need more babies, and they need reason to bring builders and innovation back to their own country and back to Hong Kong. So we're seeing this just increasingly bullish narrative and more volume coming back in, and that's why I think everybody's very incredibly bullish for 2024.
Yeah, people in North Korea are like, well, it's pretty strict where I live, and I'm starving. So yeah, I don't know if I'll do that. Well, speaking of starving, the average income per day is actually a lot lower than I thought. The average income, I'm saying, for all 8 billion people, now Bitcoin transaction fee is more than what the average human on Earth earns in one day. We have a fee of $26. You can see it right here. Meanwhile, Bitcoin fee, $25. So pretty alarming metric right now.
Wait, global daily income is how much?
Average is out $26.66 a day in a 365 year.
Shout out to the United States for forcing a lot of countries into hyperinflation. What $25? That is crazy to think about, and also why we should probably work remotely, have an American job, and live in Bali because you will live like a king.
Some of my favorite streamers, they lived in Middle America, and so you got some streamers. I used to be a Twitch streamer for MTG. He did it for Fortnite. You have some streamers, they're living in LA. They're broke. They're sitting there having to hustle and grind. Then you got people live in Iowa. Like a $70,000 house is 3 bedroom. They're raising their kids, and you're you look at the state taxes. You're like, I think that might be the move. But then you got to live in Iowa. I'm kidding. We love all
the lake beaches are really cool. Just don't show me those memes on TikTok. We'll refrain from those.
But Wyoming, does it exist? Well, speaking of exist, I'm gonna skip that one story. Go to Satoshi era Bitcoin. worth $43 million, moves after more than a decade of dormancy. What I found really interesting here. All right, so this is all right. So Satoshi era, 2009 to 2011. That's when Satoshi was around. Then he, had his final message there. Well, these Satoshi era Bitcoin, that's when they were mined or last moved since then. Well, what was it? Crypto Quant. They found a wallet with 1,000 Bitcoin from that era. 2010 was the last time it moved. It hasn't moved in 13 years, about to be 14. And they've estimated, what did it cost to get that? What's the number again? $43 million worth of Bitcoin. What was it then?
$100. Take a guess, chat. Take a guess. No one cheat. What is your guess right here? How much was $43 billion or $1 million worth of Bitcoin worth in 2011?
13 years ago. Yeah, 13 years ago.
I don't actually know. I haven't seen it yet.
Well, they did it. What do you think he costs for electricity? So, he spent some electricity. Let's say he mined it over a year. I don't know. I'm just kind of rounding here.
I'm gonna say that the electricity may have actually cost more than the actual purchase of the Bitcoin itself. And it's a little delayed, so we should be able to answer it now. But was it $100?
Well, it looks like he mined it. It was $100. Let's say he mined it over a year. We're talking about $2 a week. You spent $2 a week in electricity, and now that $2 a week in electricity for 12 months, $43 million. So, hey, congrats to that whale right there. The problem is they're moving it to exchanges. No, Diamond, can't you lose the keys already and make Bitcoin even more disinflationary? That would be pretty cool. All right, so we got $45, $3. Not a bad guess there.
200s, 200, 168.
Yeah, a couple hundreds there. All right, good stuff. What do we got next, Josh, here? I know there's something about a bull run, maybe?
Run. I feel like we might be in this, guys, but is this the last Bitcoin bull run before it becomes just another ticker symbol? I love that headline, actually. That is so powerful. But is this Bitcoin's last stance, guys? With this in mind, NG is encouraging retail investors and crypto fans to either go big or go home, suggesting that this will make a market, what the market presents at spot rates could be an opportunity to generate wealth from the world's most valuable crypto asset.
Wait. They said this might be, wait a minute. This could be Bitcoin's last hurrah
and
its last dance.
And Jamie Dimon wants to ban it.
It's Bitcoin's last dance. Trying to set you up with the meme I got here.
I don't know what he's trying to do.
Dance? No, I'm talking to Drew here. It's Bitcoin's last dance. I'm sorry, you must not have watched the documentary. The Jordan meme.
It's just over everybody here.
I have it ready. I had it ready. Like I had it.
Let's pull it up. Pull it up. Let's see.
And I took that personally. And I took that personally. That's a meme from The Last Dance. I'm just gonna let you do it.
Did anybody else? Did you guys catch that one? I'm sorry, that one. We'll come back to it. But Bitcoin has been on a tear at spot rates, guys, rallying above 44K earlier today before cooling off slightly. However, reading from the Bitcoin candlestick arrangement in the daily chart, the uptrend remains, and buyers are optimistic, targeting the November 2021 peaks around $69,000. So going back to the headline right here, I kind of want to know from you guys in chat. Maybe we should take a poll on this. But what do you guys believe Bitcoin could hit in this next bull run? Because I do believe this is probably the last market cycle opportunity of the insane valuations we'll see out of a lot of these altcoins and Bitcoin itself. Bitcoin's not going to continuously 10x each and every cycle or even 5x each and every cycle for the foreseeable future. There is going to be diminishing returns where, yes, one day it reaches $5 trillion in market cap and it will go to $6 trillion in the next bull run, right? That is where we're heading. And that is what will happen when this asset class completely emerges, has the clarity, has the volume, and has the liquidity a part of it.
You want to see a good case for $140,000 Bitcoin?
I would love to see.
All right, this is from CryptoCon, CryptoCon _ on X. He posted this a couple weeks ago, and I've been seeing this chart pop up on a couple articles here and there. And so the way this chart works is he catches the bottoms of a run up to predict the top 2 cycles from then. And so you can see it played out perfectly. Now, within crypto, you're going to see a lot of indicators where they have a prediction. And the problem with every single prediction I've seen, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, every single prediction came in a little bit more bullish for 2021 than actually played out. You can look at Plan B, you can look at Stock to Flow, you can look at Rainbow Chart. You name the prediction. Sure, it worked great for 2014, and then it worked great for 2017. And then in 2021, they thought it was going to go to 100K, and it didn't. That's literally every single indicator I've seen, or maybe it goes even more bullish. Well, this one is actually played out correctly for 2021, which is very, very rare. You see it ran up on the bottoms, predicted 2017 top. Well, the 2017 run up, it then predicted the 2021 top. Not even the April one. It actually predicted the November one. And now we're looking at the 2021 run up, and this might predict the 2025 top. I don't know. If you got boomer eyes like me, you can't really see it, but that is $138,000. So now this is a pretty good leading indicator for 140K Bitcoin in the next year and a half. What do you say to that?
I think it's very, very possible, to be honest. After the Bitcoin halving, there's a lot in this market we have to be aware of in terms of a macro outlook. But once that ETF is out, whether or not there's that 5 or 6 month drawback, like we showed you guys on the chart with the gold-based ETF that was launched in November 2004, that is the anticipation. We're going to move towards where financial advisors, millions of financial advisors, guys, mind you, are advertising to hundreds of millions of individuals worldwide on how they need to store their wealth in Bitcoin, at least 1 to probably 5% of that ratio. So $100,000 Bitcoin, in my opinion, and is inevitable at this point. Is that this next cycle? I personally believe so. We'll be up to 138K though. I think only time will tell here, which leads us to, I think you're going to read the chat here with, if a Bitcoin ETF happens, that means a Litecoin ETF could happen since they are so similar. Now, while I don't know if a Litecoin ETF will get passed right away, spot ETFs may be approved soon. So we do have an update here coming from Walter Bloomberg, who said on Twitter that #Bitcoin, US Bitcoin ETF issuer talks with SEC have advanced to key detail sources. Discussions between the SEC and asset managers hoping to list Bitcoin exchange-traded funds have advanced to key technical details. In a sign, the agency may soon approve, the product's industry executives say. And 13 firms, guys, right now, 13 different firms, Grayscale, BlackRock, Invesco, ARK Investments, have pending applications to the Securities and Exchange Commission that track the price of Bitcoin here. And so those are set to look to approve by the first week of January 10th. I think our video released last night, so you definitely want to go check that out, where DZ actually does a full breakdown of the 90% rate of approval from Eric Balchunas and Bloomberg, and why it is very likely it could be approved then. So if you want to see those two bullish outcomes, go for it. If you want to see me be bearish, just backtrack and rewind on this episode a little bit more.
That went live last night, correct? Yeah, I found a very, I'm highlighting the video right there. I found that's it right? No, that's the Grayscale head legal, but I found a very rare interview with that Bloomberg ETF analyst. I had to do some digging and found it, and it's got some really good alpha. Highly recommend you go watch last night's video. I do want to answer one more question. So this cycle or time will be the last time to get in at a reasonable time to make a poop ton of money? To get in very soon or miss the train? I'm going to quote CryptoFace. You're not going to get rich buying Bitcoin and sitting on it like an idiot. That's what he said. I agree with that. So, Bob, here's my assessment. 2016, you could get rich buying a top 10 crypto. 2021, you can get pretty good money buying a top 10 crypto. You can get rich buying a top 30 crypto, top 20 crypto. So I think in 2025, you're going to need to buy that top 50. You're going to have to just basically increase the risk tolerance, because as the market becomes more mature, those top coins are going to move less. So, originally the top 10 aren't going to move that much. Then the top 20 aren't going to move that much. Eventually, you'll be like the S&P 500.
Exactly.
And it'll be 100 of them don't really move that much. Then you got to go into the penny stocks.
Indexing
right now,
will
that
come.
is basically
There'll
that.
be a day where it's the top 100 projects. I would imagine that's like 10 years, but where they're all so highly valued, it's like he just said, it's like the S&P 500, and you're going to have this index where you kind of can be diversified into all of them at one time in one portfolio. And so that is where we're moving. But when we're at those levels, that is when you are way late to this game. This is the first time in history where Bitcoin being judged as a digital source of gold, a store of value. It's an emerging asset class. So we're in at the threshold in the beginning of that. And it's only of a matter of time. So there will always be opportunity.
We skipped markets, and there's some crazy stuff going on. We're going to talk about stonks. I don't know if you want to do the Kathy Woods one, but Bitcoin's down 0.5%. ETH's moving up 3%. I saw someone say something about bonk. It's like, wait a minute, that ain't right. So you hit top gainers here, and what do we have? Bonk is now in the top 100. I sold 12% into the spike, I think 3 days ago. Luckily, I didn't sell the whole bag, everybody. You know what? I'll probably sell another, now it's going to be around 16%, 14%. I'm going to sell like another chunk, everyone, but it has moved 35% to the upside. Helium with their phone upgrade. We talked about this yesterday's morning stream. They're up 35%. WeMix is up. Beam is up. The more I learn about Beam, the more I do like Beam. Frax is up. Optimism is up. ETH Classic. Now we're getting to the signs that maybe a correction is coming. BitTorrent was on a run, and it fell 20%. Terra Luna. Caspa also fallen
That's
as well.
it's perfect that you said that, because if you guys see this chart, this is exactly what's happening today. Is the money flow in crypto? So Bitcoin pumped. Now you have your large caps pumping today. That's going to flood down to mid cap, slow cap. So this actually is an early sign and indicator that we could be getting that correction soon. Now a lot of traders, which we'll get to in a minute, are anticipating this 48K level. But it's really cool just to see that on the market today, that you're like, okay, well, Ethereum's now up 2.5%. So it shows that the altcoins, people were taking profits off that Bitcoin. It's flowing down into the altcoins. And, unfortunately, Bonk's a meme coin, right?
Yeah. Bonk's a meme coin. It was given out as an airdrop to a bunch of strong NFT projects on Solana. And then, you fast forward today. There were rumors, and I'm not verifying or even saying I believe this, but there were rumors it was an Alameda-linked employee was responsible for pumping Bonk. I don't know if that's true or not, but that it's a fun rumor and it's fun to speculate on.
I just want to know what it feels like being one of these companies that are worth $600-500 million and they just see a meme coin pass them in value in weeks. It's
you could be a Palmer, not Palmer Lucky, Jackson Palmer. I forget his name. It's Palmer. He's the creator of Dogecoin, and he's dumped all this Dogecoin, and he dumped it even before the Elon pump.
And didn't he do that years ago?
Years ago, I want to say he sold 2017
to buy
pump.
I think to buy a car, right? Like a Honda, like a Corolla or something. I forgot that story. It was a great story, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good quote. To really get those, the life-changing wealth, you do need to have diamond hands. That $100 of Bitcoin, now they're selling it at 43 million. You know how easy it was to sell that at 1 million?
Not Jamie Diamond Hands, though.
No, not Jamie Diamond Hands. Well, he's on Epstein's plane, so I don't even know what those hands are touching. Yeah, those are wrong. Yeah, I wouldn't touch those hands with a 10-foot pole.
We mix up 16%, optimism of 10.
He saved Epstein.
Woo! Fractures 10% and Beam 10%. Ethereum Classic now up 6.9% for the memes today, and Arbitrum up 6% here. Arbitrum's an ecosystem I'm definitely actually paying attention to right now. Gala up a little bit, and you have a favorite you're coming up on.
No, Mr. Techno Goody. Pumping and bonking at work is probably a violation of corporate harassment policy per HR, not in the polycule. So even more reason it could have been Alameda employee. I don't know. I'm sorry. That was all for a stupid joke.
Yeah, just a bunch of weird people sleeping in the same room. May or may not have been related. Was Sam Bankman-Fried
I would not want to get on that
coworkers.
beanbag. I would not. That ain't a ranch stain, if you know what I'm saying.
You know he didn't shower. Right, has to. I get those vibes. He would rather stay up and play League of Legends for 7 consecutive days before he would shower.
Well, maybe he doesn't sweat like Prince Andrew, which is a real thing.
Prince Andrew?
Yeah, Prince Andrew doesn't sweat because of the inbreeding in the generations ahead of him. Yeah, he doesn't sweat.
I thought you were gonna. I thought you were gonna go along the route like he's royalty. Royal blood doesn't sweat. Be like,
no, he has a real disorder.
He's actually just inbred
really
here.
Inbred.
We have diving into XRP with the $5. Appreciate you, man. Much love. In 2021, if you research development data on Sentiment for active products and invest into those, you greatly increase your success rate. Yeah, I mean, that's a great way to look at that development activity. And one I would pay attention to is probably Polkadot. They've gotten, they're a lot slower and quieter of a mover, but they are worth quite a bit here. I think what number are they right now? They are number 14. And they tend to lead those charts in development a lot. And they have Polkadot 2.0 launching here very, very soon. So that is one I would have to agree with you, XRP there. Other than that, guys, for the top losers here today, we have BitTorrent at 18% already. Luna Classic down 5.1%. Caspa down, Render, and Stacks here. And those are down just barely. But again, I would like to see this red. I want to see a sea of red coming up here. I think it'd be very, very healthy for these markets. But that's going to kind of lead us into the articles here today where Cathie Wood, guys, she is even selling her Bitcoin. So famous Bitcoin bull, guys, Cathie Well is selling once again. They decided to sell, I believe it was 33 million. So at this point, ARK Invest recently sold another 180,000. This is Coinbase shares worth $24.3 million. And ARK Invest sold 162,579 Coinbase shares from its ARK Innovation ETF.
So I've been pretty public.
Wow.
I copy traded her, and it was about 5 days ago. Guys, she sold Coinbase and bought Robinhood. I copy traded. I was pretty public about it. I pulled up the 5-day chart on each of them. Is it smart? Was it dumb? Let's find out right now. All right, so Coinbase over the past 5 days. I'm sorry. Oh, well, man, I just totally ruined it. All right, Coinbase over the past 5 days has risen 7.9%. So you got an 8% pump. If you didn't listen to her, you're up 8%. You're probably like, you stupid, you know what? But if you would have done that and then bought Hood, you would be up 30%. So it was actually a good trade that Kathy Hood made.
And I still think this is actually really smart. She gets a lot
I said
of
Hood.
She gets a
Yeah,
lot
I
of
heard that.
Backlash because she makes a very market. What's the right term? Like going against the herd. She's the.
Well, she attacks popular communities. This is what I've said. You know, I'm kind of repeating myself here. If she sold Home Depot stock, you wouldn't have people tweeting about it. I love Home Depot, and you just don't believe, and you're not going to make it. But that literally, that does happen with her selling any kind of crypto-related anything. They'll attack her with pitchforks and just say, "I thought you had laser eyes on your profile pic 2 years ago. I don't even know who you are anymore."
And
it's not that serious, y'all. It's not that
she
serious.
takes like this risk on innovative stocks. But moving to the Robinhood's topic here, this actually makes me a little bit more bullish as well, in the sense that I think that's actually a really good bet, because what are people going to flood to when crypto markets do come back and that ETF does get released? You're going to see crypto.com, you're going to see Robinhood, you're going to see Coinbase all start to creep up on that app store, and that's going to be their go-to spot to pick up these assets. So I think that's honestly a pretty smart play here. Coinbase has moved pretty well from its bottom of around like $40, I think it was earlier last year. But they also sold $3.5 million worth of Bitcoin in addition to $5.9 million worth this week. So they've sold nearly $10 million worth of Bitcoin as markets have moved up just this week. So,
well, to be fair, it's Grayscale Bitcoin shares. So she's selling shares and Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. So just a little clarification there. ECB says crypto assets may be acting as a legitimate store of value. New report. This is very, very obvious. They're just basically piggybacking off Larry Fink saying it is what was his quote when he was saying?
A flight to quality.
It's a flight to quality, everybody. And then what do they say? Well, legitimate store of value. So we're seeing the dominoes start to fall with the ECB, with the language here. So when you see Jamie Dimon saying, "Oh yeah, the governments need to shut it down," clearly there's, the ECB guy is saying he's a positive thing about crypto. I'm gonna have to send him an email. No, we're on FUDStorm for 2 weeks, and then we market buy.
Just 5 years ago, you had BlackRock. Look, it's just so funny we see this. Like, there's no reason to trust Jamie Dimon with an ounce of your time. Like, just don't even focus on him, because this is October 13, 2017. Larry Fink called Bitcoin an index of money laundering. So you're 100% right. These articles just keep showing that they're just kind of jumping on the bandwagon. They're more than likely paid off, or they're lobbied to buy these same institutions. And it's so funny to see just 5 years later, these same people coming out and be like, "This is the flight to quality. This will save us because we've made all these terrible, terrible mistakes." Yeah.
Well, I think it's, speaking of terrible mistakes, someone made a terrible mistake of asking Vivek a crypto question last night. Mm-hmm. He was asked pretty much an unanswerable question. It was set up in a way there was no real answer. And so we had to change the question. The question was, well, Bitcoin makes it easier for Americans to have financial freedom. Well, wouldn't it do the same thing for terrorists? Gotcha. And then, so that's the question. What do you think his answer was? It was really, really, I was pretty impressed, everybody. It's just about a minute here. We're going to watch. Let's see what Vivek had to say.
Mr. Ramaswamy, you've praised cryptocurrency like Bitcoin as an opt-out from our, quote, broken financial architecture, and you oppose efforts to regulate it. The head of the largest international crypto exchange just pleaded guilty to allowing his platform to launder money for terrorists, including Hamas. You say your cryptocurrency plan will, quote, ensure economic freedom for Americans, end quote. Won't it also ensure economic freedom for fraudsters, criminals, and terrorists?
All right, so you're giving economic freedom to people. Well, don't you give economic freedom to the terrorists? It's a hard question. It honestly is a hard question.
It is, because terrorists would never use the U.S. dollar for terrible crimes.
Yeah, they would never use gold bars underneath Saddam's house. They would never use pallets of U.S. dollar bills, paper cash, and underneath Saddam's house.
And even if they did, we'd be able to audit the Pentagon, right? Because they would be transparent about what they're buying.
Yeah, we would know, and we have a very nice accounting of all the bills. All right, well, what is his response to, well, the terrorists are going to use it, right?
Look, fraudsters, criminals, and terrorists have been defrauding people for a long time. Our regulations need to catch up with the current moment. The fact that SBF was able to do what he did at FTX shows that whatever they have as the current framework isn't working. And I think it is nothing short of embarrassing that Gary Gensler, the current leader of the SEC, in front of Congress, could not even say whether Ethereum counted as a regulated security or not. And so I think that this is just another example of the administrative state gone too far. Here's the dirty little secret in American politics today. The people who we elect to run the government are not the ones who are even actually running the government. It is the bureaucrats in those three-letter agencies.
All right,
I love Ron DeSantis right there at the end, like looking at him like, damn, I hate to say it, but I like this guy.
Ron, can I have a bearish take on Ron? Ron, once I say this, you're not going to be able to unhear it. Ron has whiny voice. He has a whiny voice. So even when he's saying his accomplishments, well, in Florida, we went after Walt Disney. He has whiny voice. And once you hear whiny voice, you can't unhear Ron DeSantis's whiny voice.
Guys, we have a Vivek Maxi in the house here.
No, it's like it's Cardano. Vivek definitely has the know-it-all.
I would agree. I would agree actually a lot to that sense. But
I forgot you're like buddies with him. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to attack your friend Ron.
Whoa! Don't label me.
I'm sorry. I attacked his mentor and best friend.
Just label him. No, and I've tweeted this out multiple times. If there was actually one Republican candidate I would personally vote for, it actually would be Vivek. And that's just because, while he has a lot of policies that these boomers don't like to necessarily hear in terms of, oh, you're not a politician, you haven't been around long enough to understand these foreign affairs. We got another clip we're going to be paying in just a second.
C90 comparing DeSantis' voice to RFK.
RFK, though, is like, the smoker's I don't mind it. I actually don't mind it. Like, I think it's like... God. I mean, it's obviously bad, but it's not his fault, Yeah,
and Ron does not strike me as a bad dude whatsoever. I think you just look at what he did with Florida. I spent time in Florida in 2020. It was a breath of fresh air.
I have to give Ron DeSantis a credit right here, where I did not think he was going to do well, but in the Newsom debate, he destroyed
him.
Gavin Newsom.
The poop map, everybody.
Newsom's the biggest grifter out there, guys. Like, he is presidential material times 10 because of just one, his looks, his attributes. He's tall. He's got that mask. Like, that's what you look. He's slick. He's a very good debater. And even in his debate, you have to realize what he did, which was he didn't bash Biden. He was very pro-Democrat. Like, he stood by all those beliefs and he avoided every possible question.
Yeah. Newsom is so greasy. He wakes up in the morning, looks in the mirror, and like spews out a talking point, and then uses that to grease his hair. Like, that's what I think when I see that guy. He's an effete wine merchant that shut down a state while he was having like nice exotic luxury dinners with his friends, while shutting down a state, making where people can't pay their bills, getting kicked out on the street, increasing the homelessness problem. He's out gallivanting with his friends in his wine merchant.
I love the video hills. Where DeSantis is like, and I was talking to this man. He told me he loved my governing. He loves Florida, what we're doing here. He's like, and that man said, I'm Gavin Newsom's stepdad. I was like, oh, just roasted. But going back to Vivek here, guys, he's 100% right. A lot of people don't like to hear the truth that he is not afraid to say. And that is, calling out the military industrial complex. It's calling out these regulators, which, again, do not represent us. We did not elect Gary Gensler. He was elected and appointed by, not elected, sorry, he was appointed by the executive branch and Biden administration himself. So if they can't even do their job and classify this, they've had years. This isn't just some new debate on whether or not Ethereum or Bitcoin or crypto is a security or not. This has been a decade, and this has been multiple different SEC chairs at this point that have seen that corruption. We have an ETHgate video dropping here soon where Jay Clayton, the previous chair of the SEC, had his conflicts of interest with the Ethereum Foundation. This is years of backlash, and they cannot do their jobs, and they continue to take advantage of us. So shout out to Vivek here.
All right. Now, on the political front, we also got a New Jersey assemblyman proposing a bill to regulate digital assets as securities. I'm not sure if this is on a state level or not. So I believe it is.
He's just an assembly member.
So
he's not
this isn't any kind of national news. But the New Jersey people, look out for this guy. Maybe go support him. It looks like his name is Herb Conaway Jr. I think that is voted most likely to be a country crooner in his high school there. So Herb Conaway Jr., check him out. So we definitely stand that. Also, pro-Bitcoin blockchain bill clears the hurdle in the U.S. House. You might be able to give us a little insight on this with bodies and review. And, it doesn't just come up with an idea and bills on the floor. A lot of steps.
It takes tons of money, time. And the one thing the government, you can promise them, the one thing you can trust the government to do, guys, is be slower than a turtle. And they're never going to change, right? They are snails when it comes to any legislation or policy. But I wanted to go back to the previous article before we say that real quick, was that this member from the assembly member who will probably run for Congress here, he said that Bitcoin is a commodity and eventually will evolve into a currency. And that's a really cool statement to see, because this goes to show that this asset class is evolving and it completely needs this new regulation. And this is going to be a bipartisan point. But you had a question you wanted to jump on real quick?
Oh, no, it looks like Hannah's on it. So, yeah, Hannah's trying to get to you, Candle Daddy. So, yeah, they'll handle it there.
Perfect. So, going from a policy perspective, one, this is shout out to this guy. And again, you guys need to realize that if you guys want crypto to succeed, you have to take your biased political beliefs out of a lot of these things. Now, traditionally, if you're, pro-libertarian, there's going to be a lot of libertarian beliefs that go into the free market capitalism and et cetera. But when you are looking at these representatives, a lot of these Republicans and Democrats sometimes are just in their position, not because they want to be a Republican or a Democrat, but because that's what their party funded them to be. They are not someone that represents the people. They're representing the lobby. And so going back to Vivek's point there, the bureaucracy that is running the United States at this point, these 3-letter agencies, when you look at your representatives and these members, I don't ever like to be this one reason voter. But if you want to be pro-crypto, that means you might have to give up some of your other beliefs in terms of the two political parties. This was set up to divide Americans, never to agree, right? We cannot compromise efficiently in the United States, and we see that on the floor. So to your article with the pro-blockchain bill clears hurdle in the U.S. House, most of these bills that are pushing through are bipartisan to an extent. You do have quite a few people reaching out. I haven't read this 13-page legislation just yet, but this is deploying
Neither has
Americans.
Congress. Sorry.
They won't. They will pass it. What was Nancy Pelosi's famous line? Pass it and deal with it later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, 30,000 pages. You got 4 hours.
Pass it. Worry about it. Like
that's
what?
by design, by the way. That's by design. That's not like an accident. Oh, we couldn't help it. The bill just ended up being 11,000 pages. But we really got to get bridges built in America. It is by design to defraud us taxpayers.
And this actually might be the one I was talking to David McIntosh on. It might not be. There's multiple bills now in the House here.
Daniel's brother.
Close here. 13-page legislation, though, guys. This is what this one's doing. So it's a forward step. It's called Deploying American Blockchains Act. It's a forward step for congressional efforts friendly to crypto. It joins several other crypto bills, and a couple of those I've been a part of and helped work on and help advocate for here. But those are the ones that are on the floor. They're now through the House, and for the first time, cleared committee votes on the way to the House floor. Though none have yet won approval they haven't won yet by the overall House. So even once you break through the House, though, you have to realize that's not the end of this legislation yet. So this is something that even though we're starting to see Congress official or congressmen, congresswomen, and politicians around just start to advocate and look for answers to what regulation needs to look like, I still honestly think we're years away from getting anything done. So if you really want to focus on, making that change, it's like get involved with your local committees. On this channel, you'll see it on Discover Crypto next year. We're going to be at Capitol Hill. My committee with FBBA will be in Tallahassee actually later this week. So we're striving and focusing on this legislation that is very, very pro-crypto in general, but it's really going to come down to elections this next year. So when you look at, whether you're Democrat or Republican, it doesn't matter if you're looking at crypto, because crypto is going to be elected or appointed by whoever's in that position of power at that point. So if Biden administration stays, guess what? You're dealing with Gary Gensler, if not somebody worse, for the next few years, and he may be someone that replaces Janet Yellen. That would be that's who's in line to take these positions. So it's a game of risk. It's a game of chess. And if you want to play this game, if you want to play politics, it is so freaking fun. I've started to love it in a lot of different ways. I'm just new to the industry and the committee aspect of this and the policy side of this, but it's very interesting on how much change you can make effectively in a shorter period of time as long as you commit to it. And so it's really cool to see. I'm very pro crypto, and I think we're going to see that change come out of Congress here very, very soon.
All right. Well, speaking of being pro something with the C word, we have TikTok here. Parent company ByteDance spend $5 billion on buying back stock. Everybody, that's going to push its valuation to, I want to say it was $160 per share. And this is going to move their valuation to $268 billion. So ByteDance buying back the stock right now. If ByteDance does succeed in buying back the $5 billion worth, it'll be valued at about $268 billion. While it's impressive, is 10% less than what it was valued at just last year. I'll say this, for a drawdown for valuations 12 months ago, 10% is good. 10% is good. So good job, TikTok. That means they've actually kind of growing relative, with profit, earnings, valuations, and everything else. So TikTok probably not going to go anywhere. We have a lot of capital investors. American investors have money tied up in ByteDance, and they have money tied up in the ByteDance IPO. This IPO is projected to be the world's largest IPO in history. The record is previously set by Meta/Facebook. This IPO is going to be even bigger than that. American corporations like don't know if it's Fidelity, BlackRock, and the like. They have tons of money tied up in this at very early valuations. They're looking at 100x's, 500x's, I think seed stage, potentially 1,000x's. You're not going to see any kind of call to ban TikTok until these American investors can go ahead and return that capital. And these people are they're giving funds and they're donating to politicians to prevent them from, enacting any legislation to ban TikTok. So it's not going to happen.
And I want to say, I agree with that.
Until they get their money.
And something that I don't think people realize is after that congressional hearing took place, they moved all the data centers for the TikTok itself to Texas, I believe. And now it's complete in control of United States.
Sure.
It is.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make this argument.
Yeah, no backdoor.
Because
no software backdoor. No backdoor by the CCP, says
there's
Josh.
a backdoor to everything. And if it's not TikTok, Mark Zuckerberg sold our data off years and years ago already, right?
Not SHA-256.
I'm sure Apple, I'm sure Google, I'm sure Microsoft, they're all farming our data. Now with AI, it's just going to be more and more data. But my point to that was like, there was a moment after that congressional hearing where you could talk about really anything on TikTok that wasn't against, unless if it was against things happening in China, you would get banned. Now you don't get banned for anything that's happening in China, but what I get banned for is talking about the Epstein stuff with JP Morgan. Even though it's factual stuff, I'm talking about unreleased documents from whether it's 3-letter agencies, or I'm talking and covering Donald Trump, just literally reacting to one of his videos. If I react to a Biden video, it stays, no problem. If I react to a Trump video, it's taken down. Tucker Carlson, taken down. And that happened after that hearing. And I will shout and advocate for that anything, because I'm someone that posts almost every single day. And I've dealt with these two sides of this for years. Now you could talk about, used to not be able to talk about COVID. Those type of things all kind of just transferred after that hearing. So I would say, even though there is probably the back door, I do not disagree on that. I think there's a backdoor almost on anything that we're using on our phones. In fact, I think our phones are obviously listening to us. Have you ever, been walking around and you're talking about something, all of a sudden you get an ad for what you were talking about earlier that day? Like, I feel like all of that data is being farmed. But now I do believe it's in the position of the United States, and they're using this as a mainstream media narrative to just pass certain legislation.
It's just my opinion. It's a lot different when it's a CCP organ compared to Mr. Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce. We had a super chat here saying, is it too late to get into alts? I saw a pretty good comment yesterday, and it's, you got to look for the next ecosystem. So Avalanche blew up. You missed the Avalanche for $10. So this is just a suggestion I saw in chat yesterday. I'm not saying these are the two coins. Find that ecosystem that hasn't blown up yet. I think they threw out HBAR and one other one, Hedera Hashgraph. So there's other ecosystems that have yet to blow up that, you might also do a little bit of research, but I would be careful buying in any kind of 200% pump for a month. I don't like buying those coins personally. That's just my 2 cents there. But I don't mind buying Ethereum. We do have that ETH sell-off, everybody. Rumors of an ETH sell-off by 3 institutional giants gain traction. Notably, Galaxy Digital, Celsius, and FTX have signaled their intention to sell a relevant part of their stocks. They gathered this data from the known crypto wallet addresses of these giant institutional investors here. I think I would take out the FT. Yeah, this looks just like a FUD. FTX is just selling everything.
I feel like by the time this breaks the Cointelegraph or whatever articles that we were reading off of here,
the whales have traded off of it, and they're trying to use exit liquidity.
Exactly. And what drive you to buy so they can buy more, pumps the price. Just time and time again. But that does correlate over to the DeFi loan volume that is starting to climb here. So we are seeing. Well, I don't believe we're seeing sell-off. In fact, I believe the institutions are accumulating. We're seeing that in even DeFi volume. So we're going to be opening up Q&A here. So if you guys want to start asking your questions, of course, in the YouTube comments, guys, in the live stream, just let us know what cryptos you guys want our thoughts on. We'll take about 10 minutes for Q&A in just a moment. But we are starting to see a lot of DeFi volume start propping up. And that is a really bullish sign that you now want to start paying attention to like ecosystems. So DZ's got a great video, I believe, coming out on Avalanche. You leaked a little bit.
I'm editing it right now. I'm going to try to get it out tonight. It's the Avalanche deep dive. I got a DeFi play, a infrastructure play. I have a wallet play, and I have a gaming play. You're going to want to check that video out. And guys, these are all above 500 rank on market cap. So this is a risky video. It's only for the next level investor. Do not get into this. If you got to say, well, Avalanche on my MetaMask, it's probably not for you. You got to do a few more hours of research, and then you'll be ready for this video. Because this is only for the millionaire makers who are ready to put it all on the line.
Yeah, and it's diversity, right? So this is for that money you can afford to lose. You just got moon bags, whatever it is, and that is explained within the $6 billion that has been now borrowed. So total outstanding borrows on the top 7 DeFi lending platforms have swelled to $6 billion. I'm going to zoom in here so you guys can see this on the screen. Let me one more out. We have Aave, Compound, Morpho, Spark, Venus, Radiant. So shout out Solana right there, still now in the top 6 here, and Terra. I don't know what Morpho is. I haven't looked into their lending protocol themselves. But this is where you want to start paying attention to those ecosystems. So, for example, this is a perfect example is Radiant with Solana. When you start to see that DeFi really starting to prop up and those lending and borrowing exchanges or protocols start to see more volume, that generally starts flowing down into other parts of that ecosystem. And the reason for this is because they generate yield. And a lot of the times it's people a part of the foundation or part of that community that are using this DeFi and increasing yields or whatever it is, farming, and then reallocating that to new products to drive and incentivize growth within their ecosystem. It's this circle. It's a cyclical event. And so, pay attention to the Avalanche one that's going to be coming out. Let me know in the comments what you guys are watching. One of them I am going to be is Arbitrum. I'm really starting to pay attention to Arbitrum as a community. They're seeing a lot of DeFi lending come into it, which is why this leads us into our next, this is perfect, Arbitrum Greenlights grants to fuel incentives for 26 ecosystem projects. This is what you want to see. When you see this, guys, we're in a bull run. You're not funding and building in these bear markets. And so Arbitrum DAO, and yeah, you do collect smallly, but we're starting to see a lot of funding start to come back in here. So 21.5 million Arbitrum was allocated for this. And this is going to be distributed to 26 different projects that missed out on grants in October, despite receiving approval in short-term incentive funding programs. So there was a grant in the bear markets. You get grants in the bear markets. I've worked with grant programs through like the ICP, which is Internet Computer Protocol, which is trash. Their grant programs, trash. Get new team members. Holy smoke, so unorganized. But either way, when you see now money being funded, this is because what's happened since October? We've seen insane volume and gains. So they took some out and were like, hey, we're growing, we're popping off. If you guys missed out, we're going to fund you guys extra. And this is where you start really want to pay attention to these new emerging protocols. And I'll have to do a video on Arbitrum. I'll actually do one on the products being released here.
Yeah, that sounds good. And CH, I'm coming around to you too. That's mutual here. Mm-hmm. All right, and looks like they got, I was looking at the numbers, but given that math, a little bit under 1 million if it was that many applicants and they're giving out the 20 million. We also have Crypto Whale makes $1.6 billion in 1 year by boosting portfolio with low cap altcoins. And I saw your altcoin asking Matic price prediction. We'll answer it at the end of the show here. Well, a whale is, let's see, 3.4 million% return. Yeah, I'd say that's a pretty good return there. It was 100x low cap gems there. If we look, that's a good return. That's a good return.
It's a good return. It's a good return.
Come on, man, get a real Bored Ape. They only have a mutant ape. You're embarrassing me.
1.6. I mean, I don't like that this article had to expose me like that. I'd like to stay anonymous, but guys, I'm the whale. So that's what happened here. But the last few articles here are just analyst predictions. So I think we should just, if you want to head to Q&A here, because we got a lot of great questions
let's
coming in.
Let's do that. Yeah, we're going a little long.
I wanted to scroll up to the Discord. Someone asked in the Discord if we can add DeFi and news announcements.
I bet you can't name 3 DeFi provinces.
Oh, shoot. In the which
look at that. That's shame. Oh my, that's shame.
I'm running for president, and
you hear that? You hear that?
A military Boeing Raytheon board. That was my Nikki Haley impression. So, but guys, for the news and everything coming out there, jokes aside,
all right. So Matic. All right. So I think Matic can go about $10, and the reason I'm looking at a Matic around $10, it was right around 3. I'm looking at a similar cycle top from Bitcoin for 2017 to 2021. It went from 20,000 to 70,000. Essentially, that was about a 3.5x. $3 times 3.5x. Right around a little bit above $10. It's going to have a pretty large market cap. I don't think it went from like 2 cents to $3. It did 150x. I don't think it's going to do that again. Call me crazy. I don't know if we can get 150x from the bear market lows we saw 2022. I think Matic hit its bottom. So just be careful. So $10 is my prediction. Do you got a Matic price prediction?
Honestly, let me pull up the chart here because Matic's still arguably one of my favorite projects. A lot of people.
My favorite biz dev. It's my favorite biz dev team. Yeah, their biz dev team is unparalleled in crypto. There's no one setting up better corporate partnerships than they are.
And I would have to say the same exact thing. And I mean, look at the performance just in general. I'm honestly gonna be there with you. I think Polygon Matic, if we get the same type of traction we saw last bull run, this is a $10 token. Is it gonna break past that? I don't necessarily know. I think that $10 is going to be that one of massive psychological perspective. So I don't know if it would be able to breach that. But what I would say is that Matic is that largest layer 2 and is needed for Ethereum to scale for a lot of the transaction issues that would take place on that network. So from both a gaming perspective to the overall volume and scalability to the partnerships, which are just massive, Starbucks, DraftKings, Disney, et cetera. They've been a part of those protocols. Stack team, blue chip for sure here. So I have to agree on that. Someone said Q&A here. Where do you think gaming and crypto is going with gaming specifically?
Gaming's frothy right now. I will say that. So, if we're bullish on it, don't be surprised if you see a pullback in the next 30 days. Like, let me just go ahead and say that. Josh, would you agree? Is it feeling frothy to you too?
Oh, especially right now, you're getting that kind of trend narrative.
But do you think we'll be much higher 18 months from now for most of these tokens?
Yes, but I don't know if most of these tokens, guys, will be so gaming. If you look at the actual data, 95% of them have failed in the last 2 years that were launched. The gaming sector is one of the hardest sectors to master. So if you're going to develop a project and a game, not only does that game have to be addicting, community oriented, it's also got to establish a strong tokenization and tokenomics for whatever they decide to release, whether it's a studio or in-game currency. So gaming is probably one of the industries I'm most excited for, coming from esports, being that, trying to go pro, doing all that, streaming on Twitch. You come from Twitch and gaming as well. It's like, I am beyond excited for that, because if you can integrate crypto into a GTA 6 or a Skyrim or EOS or any of these products, these games you've paid thousands of hours on, yeah, that's awesome. We get to pay to play it, right? However, the actual goal of obtaining that is significantly hard. So I'm bullish on it. You just have to know that these are going to be VC funded, and you need to get in, get out, take those profits, that type of stuff. As you approach the gaming
keep
sector.
an eye out on Ape and the Activision CEO being over there. I could see I'm thinking more and more like, all right, what's the next gala? What's the next gala? I don't know if it's going to be some micro cap. I think the largest, it's going to be interesting. I will say what the other side did with their demo 15, 16 months ago looked incredible.
Yeah.
And there's games today that just kind of have like, well, here's the character art. They were there 2 years ago, so I'm really looking forward to where they're going to be a year and a half from now.
And what I want to say off that too is what I would really pay attention to is like Epic Games or Activision. People fade this part of this because they don't want it to happen, but I think it's inevitable, is going to be where these Web2 gaming companies come in and just integrate like an NFT marketplace. So you also still want to be intact with the regular gaming sector, because if you know a game's going to be viral, like think about it this way. Imagine being able to buy the first season pass in Fortnite and having all those skins. I have a lot of those, and those are worth, people would pay thousands for a lot of those skins. And so there's still going to be opportunity in these centralized, so to speak, Web2 NFT marketplaces that I do believe will exist in the future. So overall,
Beam
bullish,
is going to
bullish,
be
bullish.
the gaming play this cycle. I'm liking more and more. I look into Beam. So the thing I like about Beam, there's gaming tokens that you can't buy with USDT. You can't buy with ETH or BNB. You have to buy it on a Beam exchange. So you have to buy Beam and then trade that Beam into these gaming tokens. So Beam is just having incredible buy pressure right now. So that's why we're seeing,
So my question at though is like, why not just launch the gaming tokens though and be a launch pad?
Maybe regulatory issues. Maybe their business model is just to be, the conduit for fundraising.
Yeah, and not to fund them, guys. I'm curious. I haven't looked into Beam yet, but sometimes I'm like, man,
maybe
why
it's
not
the
just
Peter
launch
Thiel.
collectibles?
Maybe it's the Peter Thiel strategy of microcosm and then hyper focus on that, and then you expand once like Uber hyper focused on, I think it was San Francisco, and then they expanded. Facebook hyper focused on Harvard and the Ivy League colleges, and then they expanded. Could be part of that play. So maybe they want to be the launch pad for every chain on everything Beam.
Yeah,
this is all speculation.
It's all
folks.
speculation.
All
but
speculation.
I
It could
have
dump
to say
20% tomorrow.
What we definitely agree. There's always going to be liquidity in gaming. It's just the easiest sector to hype up. You slap some AAA graphics on a trailer, it goes viral on Twitter. It's a big circle.
But where is the product? The product is you trade Beam for these very obscure gaming tokens. That's the product. I know if you want more than that,
like
that's
Steam.
fine.
It's
but
like kind of like Steam for. It's like a tokenized Steam.
I will say that product is better than 99% of crypto project.
I have to look into it.
That's including like the micro caps. It's not in the top 1% of the top 100, but it's definitely that puts it pretty high up there. He solved your question. NFT 11. No, you're the best, baby. You're the best. Still only $500 million market cap. Altura, you have to. I have this microphone in my way. I don't know. Oh, it's propping up an Instagram phone. And you're like, why am I like acting like I'm dodging and weaving and bobbing here?
This
read a
was a
question.
good question from Robert Vermouth here. Vermouth. Why would you need to buy Polygon when Base is free and exactly the same thing? So this, I wanted to, even though we touch on Polygon, I want to like kind of hone in on this because this is where diversification is key, guys. These ecosystems, where they're going to grow is from the liquidity that is driven to them, whether it's through, raising VC capital funds, private investors, whatever it is. You don't know which layer 1 or layer 2 is going to prop up. For example, Solana, right? Solana was not the best network. It wasn't the fastest. It wasn't the most scalable. It wasn't the most decentralized
Turned
whatsoever.
off a dozen times.
Turned off a bit. Yeah. Every single week it was turning off. Yeah. They had Alameda and a lot of funding going into it. And that's why it did a 300x. Same thing in like, not to show my DeFi bags here, but it's like when I touched that industry, I bought ones I liked. I also bought ones I didn't like. And of course, which ones pumped?
Yeah.
The ones I didn't like. And so, you have to have this key or this thinking process of like, that's what VCs do, right? So when you're going to invest into layer 2s or layer 1s or gaming tokens, you have to understand like 9 out of 10 of these are probably not going to be here in 5 years. In the next year, probably 5 of them are going to lose money. 3 to 4 might break even and 1 might be that moon bag. And of course, it almost always ends up being the one that you did not like. So that's why diversity is key. Anybody that tells you diversification is a myth is just a VC pond.
Oh my God. I did that 10K video, I think it's a couple weeks ago, and I used a DeFi project as one of my, better risky plays there.
Tell me it was like.
Let's just share the portfolio right here. I remember I was saying, well, Chainlink is going to act as the Bitcoin here. You want something kind of safe so you can be protected from pullbacks, but you want something strong. And so Chainlink is going to be your risky play. That's going to be, your least risky play. ByteDance was the DeFi play. I want to just talk about Snake. Snake was my smallest bag, and then now it is up for a third from the bottom. You can't see it. All right, so if you just YOLO buyed, copy traded DZ, it's a 2.5x. You've more than doubled your funds there. So if you did the inverse of my portfolio, you're doing great. You're doing great. If you had the riskiest thing at the top, like DZ, Chainlink, you're being too safe. I'm YOLOing in on Snake. Congrats, everybody. But everything is up double digits except Chainlink, only 8%, Cody, only 9%. Those are the numbers there.
And I think the last one here I want to touch on is Algo, just because I absolutely love crushing it because I am very free market capitalist. I'm about, individual rights and prosperity. I'm about, taking away power from the establishment, giving it back to people, obviously not from a socialistic perspective, but just in a fair value perspective. Algorand is literally in bed with the Clintons Foundation, the World Economic Forum, the United Nations, the most corrupted individuals on the planet that have absolutely no value, in my opinion, other than sucking up my air. I don't support Algorand. When I'm in crypto, I'm trying to invest into things that are here to change the future for a better and not get in bed with the financial thieves that we're trying to get away from in the first place. And that's a lot of those tokens. Now, some people will say, well, Josh, make money off them and then use it for good. I just choose not to. I also think they're it's a decent team, but they're focusing on carbon credits and ESG standards, which I'm very much against. I think ESG is a complete scam, and the carbon credit system is just the NFT marketplace for the ultra rich, for the Clintons, for those type of people, for your ConocoPhillips, your oil giants. And I don't want anything to do with it. I don't want to support it. And I don't care if you have a feeless chain or if you're fast, your smart contracts support evil, and I'm not there for it. So, clap back at that, I guess.
Just to double click on the Clinton thing, maybe we go ahead and wrap it up. It technically, there is a little bit of a partnership. SIWA is the organization. This is in India. It's for women micro entrepreneurs who address climate change.
What's up?
And so this was co-founded with the Clinton Foundation and the Global Climate Resilience Fund. And then Algorand is the tech partner for that joint venture. So it's not Hillary hanging out with the CEO and they're like, I could go so many directions with how that might play out. Let's just say having brunch. Yeah, I'll say that. It's not that. It's they joined a joint partnership that had $50 million. Some of the 50 went to Algorand.
And it's not that they're like locked in and intertwined. It's just when you would go to their website, and I remember this, I've used to hold Algorand too. It's like their big focus is like, we're a green blockchain. We're focusing carbon credits and saving the world. And like that entire ecosystem and that system that was propped up by Greta Thunberg's and just failures, and the ESG, your BlackRock, that type of stuff. I'm just not there to fund that. And I don't want to be part of that exit liquidity for you. So,
all right. Hey, thank you, Power Certification Animated Videos. It just sounds like you do cool stuff. Chat, thank you for getting your questions in. We're going to have a special Q&A for the members tomorrow, where we get the really, really degen questions. I don't care if that micro cap is ranked 2,800. We'll look at it, baby. We'll look at it. We'll probably tell you it's going to zero, or maybe not. I don't know. What the heck is a micro entrepreneur? I could make jokes about that. I don't want to do that either. If I had to give you a real answer, it's India. It's, they're getting out of the emerging, nations, kind of, they're building up a middle class. So it's probably not trying to work with millionaires and billionaires. It's probably trying to work with middle class entrepreneurs. So that would be my guess with the micro entrepreneur there. I don't think it's anything about.
I love that comment.
I'm willing to bet you could hand Hillary your seed phrase and she wouldn't know how to recover your funds.
Just like she can't recover emails, but
let's just wrap it on that one.
Let's wrap it on that one.
All right, everybody, make sure you hit that like button on the way out. Me and Josh are happy with our lives, and we're not going to unalive ourselves.